Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Ankerstar Wealth Morning Show. We are coming to you this morning from the Wealth Management Edge Conference in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where Allie and I are both here being able to learn as also network with other professionals in the finance industry. It's been an amazing experience. It's a gorgeous location, and I'm thrilled this morning that we have as our special guest. We have reversed the roles of what we normally have, where Allison asks me questions, is I get to ask Allison questions. But before we begin, just as a reminder, this is a financial education presentation. You have to do your own due diligence before acting upon anything you hear in this show. Full disclaimer information is available at ankerstarwealth.com. Good morning, Allison. You've been saying good morning, Steve, for over a year now, so I've been dying to say it. Good morning, Allison. What do you think of the conference so far?
Honestly, I love it. You know, last year we came, but I was just going to the beach, popped into the conference, but wasn't actually attending the conference. So I'm actually really happy to be here, and I'm loving it. Even though I am like pretty much the youngest person here, I love it, and I love talking to everybody and learning new things. I've never seen some of this stuff before. Just entering the industry, it's awesome. I'm learning so much, actually.
It's interesting because I am quite sure you are the youngest one here. I certainly haven't found anybody younger. I was glad for Allison last night to find at least another one person that's in college to talk to while she's down here. But speaking of the perspective of a young person entering the industry, the conference started off with some, they don't call them keynote speakers here, but they call them fireside chats, if you will. And last year it was Eli Manning and his father came in and talked about some stuff. Well, this conference started off with Jamal Mashburn, the NBA player of around a decade or so. He's around my age, so I remember him obviously more than Allison. But he did talk about the perspective of working with a financial advisor at a young age, and he was 19 at the time, and he was telling his story. Allison, what did you think of his story, and did you relate to that at all?
Honestly, I did relate to him, knowing that he really started to pick up where I am now. He was talking about he was 19 and he really wanted to take off, and that's where I am. I'm 18. I really want to take off in this industry, and he had big goals from a young age. I think he said around 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Where I'm the same way. He played sports too. He was basketball, I was volleyball, but his way of getting to his big point in life was through basketball. And my big point in life is I want a hotel in Vegas, and the finance industry is definitely my way to get there. And I think it'll set everything up perfectly for me if everything goes my way,
Yeah, well, I've always been impressed with your clear vision of what you wanted to do, starting with volleyball and then transitioning to Alabama and then joining a sorority. And of course, Bama Rush is out, so we'll have to take a look at that. And then on to the hotel thing that you've been talking about for years now. So that's pretty impressive. And not everybody has that vision at such a young age. And as you and you do, and Jamal Mashburn, we talked about his vision, and there were so many people that were trying to tell him what he should do, and it is an investing conference, so he talked about hiring an advisor, and he said, I hired the first person to actually listen to me. So we, as part of your Ankerstar Wealth team, for our client viewers or client listeners that are out there, that is one thing that we keep taking away, is make sure that even though we have a lot of solutions, we don't try to force them on you. We want to hear you first and hear what you want to do and take care of you, because that's the most important thing. And then, so we went through we listened to Jamal Mashburn for a while, fantastic lessons. And then we had another couple speakers, one of which was the owner of the Chicago Cubs, went through some Moneyball stuff. And then we went off to our first mixer that night. And of course, these conferences, just like any professional conference, you go out and you don't know people. Sometimes you recognize them from TV or somewhere else, but you generally just plop down, and soon enough a conversation will take off. So tell us tell the crowd about the first conversation that kind of happened with us.
Okay, so this is my first one, first mixer. I love socializing anyway, so it is pretty easy for me to talk, and we're just waiting for people to come to us because But who sits down is Julie Kane. She was actually so awesome talking to her. She was a former Navy, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. She was awesome. And then we had no idea that she's actually, you know, a big part of this conference. She spoke the next day in Women in ETFs, and so we got up 7 in the morning, attended. She's awesome, super good. Learned a lot from her, actually. Even talking to her the day before was, a great experience, honestly. Seeing her inspire, women, inspires me even more because there are not a lot of young women in the industry right now. So I'm super excited, definitely inspired me.
Yeah, it was such a privilege to meet her, and shame on me, I should have known who she was, but I just didn't. Sometimes that happens. But we just start talking to Julie, and I have a boot on, and she had a thing on her ankle. That's what kind of started the conversation, and we really went from there. And then, of course, after a few minutes, get a couple pilots together, and somehow the topic of flying comes up. So we started talking about that. But when you talk about a trendsetter and a perfect role model for Allison, you're right. Julie went into the Navy, and we're about the same age. Maybe she's a little bit younger, but there were not a lot of female pilots at the time. So kind of forging a path of where she may be the only one that's like her in the room, or one of very few. And the lessons that she was able to provide Allison during that time was pretty amazing. And she talked us into getting up a little earlier than we thought.
Yes, 7 in the morning.
Yeah, so tell us about getting up early and going to the Women in the ETFs presentation. What did you get out of that?
Well, honestly, they had the coolest swag bag I've ever got. That definitely stood out, But, I'm not a fan of getting up early, but when it comes to an opportunity like this, I'll willingly get up, as early as I can to get all this information. But no, I learned so much, actually. I just took the Series 65. Crammed it into 2 weeks of studying right after I got back from college. Maybe not the best idea, but it was worth the shot. I'm still 18. I've got a million other tries. But so 30 days, I'll be an advisor, hopefully. But
so yeah, the experience you had with the Series 65, and thank you for sharing that. And when Allie says 30 more days, that's the soonest, if you will, that you can do the retake. But yeah, Allie started talking earlier this year about, Dad, can I work for you this summer? And I was like, well, of course, absolutely. And it's like, do you want to be an advisor? And kind of the standard conversation at the beginning of, well, do you think I'm ready? And it's just like, well, it's not whether I think I'm ready, not whether I think you're ready, right? For all young people with dreams out there, it's whether you think you're ready. And if the answer is if you wait until you're completely ready, you'll never start. Right, and that's what holds a lot of people back. So, Allison, we came up with this game plan where you crammed for 2 weeks to take the test. And I know, of course, but for compliance, we can't talk about anything that's on the test. But talk about the process and the experience that you learned from that.
Well, I learned that it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I walked in there, I actually was a little confident. I studied so hard for 2 weeks. I get back from college, all I want to do is see my friends, and I can't because I'm studying. I'm really putting my all into this. I walk in there, a little confident actually, and I look at the first question and I'm like, okay, all right, see where this goes. So I don't understand everything. I got the basic concepts, down, but there's a lot I got to learn, before anything else. But, I sat down and I was like, whew, man, educated guess on a few of them.
Right. For those that don't know, the Series 65 is what allows us to operate as a financial advisor and a fiduciary. There's two parts of it. There's the stockbroker part of it, and there's the financial planning part of it. And it's the big test. And you're right, the amount of information, it's technically called, do you remember what the technical name of it was?
I don't.
The securities law exam. So if you say securities law exam, that's about the most intimidating thing in the world, right? But Allison, tackled the study program. Kaplan, like many of you that have taken standardized tests and stuff, you pick a program and just trust the process.
Kaplan was amazing, though. Super good for anybody who is going to take it. Kaplan definitely will help you out. They provide you with everything.
Yeah, and they give you a 90-day window, so they kind of, they price in, depending on when you want to take the test, they price in the opportunity to achieve the second time.
Yes.
If you will. So it's a lot of information, it's a big responsibility, which is why that test is out there. But like any other entry-level not entry level, but it is the baseline license that it just begins the learning process. So in our industry, for folks that are listening out there, if you're working with an advisor, there should be some times when they just have to say, I don't know, or I have to look that up, or let me double check that, because it's like law or medicine. It's a practice, right? The laws keep changing, and we do our best, and you just want somebody that trustworthy and honest with you about it. It's like, I knew that once, but I don't know it now, so I better go read it again.
Well, it's actually funny because I remember you saying, I'm not going to show you the book.
Right.
I'm not going to show you, I'm not going to intimidate you with how big this book is and how much information is in there. So I'm basically just using Kaplan, trying to figure everything out and, the manual they gave me, but...
Yes, it's quite a test, and it's there for a reason. They don't need people that don't know their stuff out in the world that's licensed. So it's nice. It's a nice barrier to entry, but it'll be a significant accomplishment. Here in 28 days now when you retest and knock it out of the park.
Yes.
I'm very confident. So let's go back to the conference, and we got up early, which was fun. We're on the beach in Florida, so it's nice that we have conferences in these beautiful locations. And we're normally, I would say, walking by. I'm actually on a boot right now, so I'm getting pushed around. But we go by the ocean in the morning. We go out. We listen for about an hour and a half to a panel. 5 female CEOs, all with fantastic stories to tell, and they were all sharing their knowledge, and I love that. Father of 2 daughters, household full of women. I'm the only one there. Have been a 100% supporter of trying to get females involved into whatever industry that's out there, whether it's the military and flying fighters or the one I'm in now or any other industry, right? We learned that in the military through working up with the Middle East, the countries that are able to fully empower their women, that are just so much more powerful. So, but I saw this and I was like, that's kind of, I liked it that there was this kind of out of cycle, focus on females at this one thing, but I also thought it was kind of like, well, that's kind of not right too, because it's out of the mainstream, because every day you start at 9. So we had this one-off thing, and then you have the chairman's remarks, and kind of the program kicks off at 9.
It's way earlier,
So I was kind of like taken aback, like, oh my gosh, that's almost like a step in the wrong direction. But how wrong was I? I was completely wrong, because they started off the main session and we had an industry famous name that I'd never seen in person before. Sally Krawcheck took the stage. If you know her story, she was, she's been all over Forbes for 20 years. I feel like I know her. And she told her story. And, she started Elevest, and she has back when, now we kind of talk about avatars and who you're trying to help. Well, they have Ella or Elle that is their avatar, which is a young female that's trying to invest in what has been traditionally a man's world, and kind of told her story. So Allison, over to you. What did you think of her presentation, and what did you take away from it?
Hearing her speak was actually kind of made me want to be up there. She was great. She gave me a lot of pointers too, and she's just really inspiring. But she's hilarious too, which we were chuckling back there actually. But yeah, no, she was awesome. She was great. Honestly, I'd listen to her talk. I would love to actually meet her too. But she was really focused. She is really focused on the next generation, which I did love, because that's me. I love when people are paying attention to, my generation. Which is another thing I was really, really shocked about. She's looking out for, young people who don't know what to do.
Right.
She really wants to help people out, and I know that's what this industry is all about. But
yeah, she what did she say about we tell this joke, and being one of them, it can be a little different when I say it, but it generally has been a room full of old white men.
Oh yes,
in the industry. So what did she say about that? How did she make light of it, but also make her point about the need for the industry to change?
Yeah, she was also saying that women need more money.
Yes.
The world will be better off if the women have more money. I mean, I agree totally. But seeing women grow in this industry is honestly a big goal of mine too.
Yeah, and she said about white men, it's just like, I know white men. I've been married to a couple of them. That was, and she has a son at home, if I remember the story right. So she has done so much. I'm trying to think of Alexa Von Tobel. There's a couple names out there that have really been the trendsetters as far as integrating females in the industry to get up to an equal status. So the room for in the future, maybe not next year, but at some year, you walk into the room and you don't notice, there's just everybody right there. So really good presentation, and of course it's nice. And she did close with, if I didn't offend you or make you a little bit nervous during my presentation, then I didn't do my job. So if you ever need a speaker,
yeah, she definitely made her mark, and I'd love to listen to her again.
Yeah, that was a really good one to start off, and then we started into some panels with, again, these are CEO panels, so we won't go through any of the individual names, and it's the message that's more important than the names, than who's delivering it, because we all believe the same thing. But being a young person and thinking about starting and investing, we the old people, if you will, talk about the next gen investor. And the focus on that, and how to get not only you guys involved in investing for your future, but into the industry. So what were some of your takeaways there from what you heard?
Well, I'm actually a little surprised too, that people are so interested in our generation. But honestly, I think attacking, getting younger people in the generation, the use of technology will really get us going. That's what we're best at, technology, bring that even more into the industry, and all of us will, start to pile in. But you have to find people that are really driven, in what they want to do. So, starting early too is big. That's what I'm trying to do here at 18. Starting early, I really do think will help so much.
Yeah, you bet. And there's two sides of that. There's the investing side where, when we as an industry look at younger folks, financial education really isn't taught. Have you had anything?
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually taking my first financial class next semester.
I want to say, shout out to, I think it was Cactus Ranch Elementary. Somewhere in there, didn't they have you pick a career field and then look up the salary?
They actually did. It was 5th grade, and I was like, you know what? I want to be an ESPN announcer.
Yeah, and so they at least had the younger folks thinking
look
about
up a salary, all of that stuff.
Life's, everybody's path is different, completely. And you should pursue your passion. But however, there is a financial aspect of pursuing that passion. Some passions pay more than others, if you will, and that's not a bad thing. It's taking care of yourself and your family. But in order, with your peers that are out there, do you have any message for them that, I'm under no illusion that I have a whole bunch of under 21 listeners, but if we did, or if they see your name out there as the guest, maybe there's a few listening. What would you say to them?
I would say believe in yourself, honestly, because I'm a confident person, but sometimes I do really get down and I'm like, wait, am I too young to be here? No, I'm exactly where I should be. Don't doubt yourself ever, honestly. And if you want something, go get it. That's what I'm doing. That's what you've taught me to do, and go after it. But I'd also give a tip of going into college, manage your money better than I did freshman year. It's so funny that I'm here, people are so good with money, and I just got out of my freshman year of college, and I was horrible with money. Honestly.
Well, but that can be good though, right? Not over, but if you learn from, life is a collection of learning experiences. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you have to make mistakes in order to move forward. And I wouldn't call them mistakes. I would to adjust things differently, right? Say, well, that could have gone better. And you'll meet plenty of people out there, and especially in what I call kind of the perfection society, where people put out social images and things like that give this illusion of perfection. It's not, embrace the imperfection, right? And laugh and say, hey, we're none of us are perfect, and we're all making some mistakes to a certain extent. Yeah, along the way, and we're going to learn from those and try to do better next time. And that will certainly benefit you with your path. So we had the different sessions. The morning was overall particularly focused on general type of investing, and then our particular firm is an RIA, so we had an RIA shred out for a third of the conference, kind of went in and listened to information. And trends in the industry, a lot of that stuff was things I'm looking at as a CEO, not necessarily focused on a brand new advisor. But then we went to the social last night, and it is interesting because you learn a lot during the day, but also there's a lot of networking that goes on. So
much opportunity.
Yeah, what was your experience from some of the folks that you met last night, and what did you learn, and what did you take away from that?
I actually met some pretty cool people. They sat down, just started talking, and we did not leave that seat the whole night. They were pretty cool. They were just, how young are you? Talking about how, you're the future, which I loved. They were paying so much attention. And we also had a magic trick.
I was definitely going to say, tell about the magic tricks, because this guy was amazing.
Oh, he was so cool. The girl we were sitting with too was, so surprised. He pulled out a chick and was like, open your hand, and put the chick in my hand.
So like a little foam.
Yeah, like a little foam chick. And then boom, 20 baby chicks when I opened it. Awesome. But I know that you had a little card trick.
Yeah, Allie about screamed when he
was surprised.
It was one chick, and then he goes, how many chick, or what happened?
Yeah, he was like, open your hand.
And then
there was 20 baby chickens. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that was pretty amazing, and he did 4 tricks while he was there, and with me, it was pretty on point because I love cards. I've played cards my whole life. It's really into cards and card tricks. I know several myself at the amateur level, but that are some can be impressive to those that haven't seen too many. But yeah, he nailed this trick with me where he hit a card. He had me sign it. He had to put it in my hands, and then it showed up somewhere else. And it's like, oh, that's
insane.
Wow, how'd you do that? So that was a great experience. And then you also met somebody else in college. You want to talk about her real quick?
Oh yes. It's actually, that made me really happy seeing somebody around my age to talk to, because we are the future and we're building it up. When she came up to me, I was so excited. Actually, I was like, yes, somebody else my age. When she goes to, I think it was Western Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. She was awesome to talk to. And, we didn't even talk that much about business. Just getting to know her was great, But, the networking that I get out of these social events, amazing. We were walking around together just talking to other people, meeting new people, and just making me realize the people you meet here are great.
Yeah,
she was great.
And the young woman's name was Lexi, and of course
yes.
I can remember that because that's Allie's sister and my daughter's name as well. And I do get it. I get the, there's somebody else that's like me here, mm-hmm. right? And that bond that you immediately form, right? Because you're like, oh wow, and you just shared your experiences, and she was. Do you remember what her degree program was?
I don't remember exactly.
It was a financial planning degree.
Yes, she's actually taking the CFP really, really soon.
Yeah, so here she is, 20,
I think 24.
Yeah, so I mean, really doing great, and off to take the CFP exam, which is no joke. I failed that the first time, so there's no shame in not passing these tests the first time around. But it was a great experience with her, and then back to the original crew that we were sitting with. Some interesting opportunities sometimes happen, and off one of the ladies went, Kathy. She goes, I'm going to go get my CEO because he needs to talk to you about something. And no kidding, off she went. Here comes the CEO. I talked to him for a little bit, but he really wanted to talk to Allison. And what did you guys talk about?
We talked about a podcast with him, actually. I was so honored, that's my first real, somebody's interested in me, we talked about a future podcast that might, arise, maybe not, whatever. But I was so excited talking to him. He was full of energy, so full of energy. And, real opportunities do come out of nowhere sometimes. So
Yeah, they really do, and that's the power, and that can be something that I know for people who are listening. There's some of you that would literally rather, do anything on earth than go into a networking sort of thing. But certainly, if you can kind of get past that and unlock yourself to where you're okay with being a little bit uncomfortable, which it is when you're sitting there and here comes a person and you have no idea whether
who they are.
Yeah, you have no idea whether this is going to be a really great, stimulating conversation where you both learn and take something away, or it's going to be a little bit painful. We've all been there.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm not the person being painful, but we're all different, and
right.
We have that conversation. And sure, do you remember what he talked about for the topics with the guys, because they already have an existing podcast. They want to have Allison on, and we'll see. This is Bar Talk. We do get that. We'll see if it happens. But with their guy Ryan, I think was his name, doing a topic. Do you remember what he was?
There was, being a young person in the industry, being a young woman in the industry. How to get people in the industry like my age, and just trying to have more attention on the young generation once again.
Yeah. And he's like, we can do a multi-part series, and it's kind of eyes lit up, and I get that. That's part of CEO life, right? Is somebody flips your switch, and you have all these ideas, right? You go into the if I had unlimited time and resources, here's the 50,000 things I would do to change the world, and I love that, and everybody's drawn to that energy, that high energy type person. But yeah, we'll see if anything comes out of that. Obviously, we showed them and talked about Allison's experience with our show, the Ankerstar Wealth Morning Show, with doing the YouTube stuff and producing that and editing it and sending it out through social media on almost a daily basis. But yeah, I think that experience, it's only going to open doors for you.
Right.
And we'll see where that kind of goes. And then as we were going around, kind of just talking with people, I would be remiss to say that I did have one goal of this conference for Allison, and several goals for myself, but certainly for Allison, is I wanted to meet one person. And from just to intro that just a little bit, from my perspective, I started a business from my house largely by Googling how to start an investment firm online. And then I found a compliance firm that says, we have checklists for all that. So they sent me the checklist, and, I did them in 3 days. And then I, said, okay, I'm done. What are the next ones? They're like, well, that's like the first year of stuff. And I was like, okay. Cool. Well, I had to seek online mentors because I really didn't know anybody, and I wanted to make sure I did this right. This is like another child for me starting a business. And online, so I was listening to several different things, and two people resonated with me. One, Michael Kitsis, shout out, fantastic mentor that I've never shook his hand. I've seen him at conferences, and I listened to his stuff intently about how, from an advisor perspective. And then the other one is Penny Phillips. And Penny Phillips is, I say younger than me, I don't know, late 20s, 30s. I'm a bad judge of age, but I would say for the industry, she's young, and she is a force in the industry. And she specializes, and I probably won't get this exactly right, but she specializes in growing your firms and growing as an advisor. But anyhow, that's one person I wanted Allie to meet, and sure enough, she's prepping for a panel that she's sitting on.
Sitting right there.
I walk out, and I don't know. Do you think she heard me when I said, "Oh, that's Penny Phillips"?
I really don't think so.
Okay, yeah, I thought I was safe too, but she did kind of look up when So it's like, okay,
maybe she did.
How about Steve being awkward, right? So it's like, but I thought we got away with it. But we were in trip somewhere else. We had to take care of something, and we were coming back, and I said, okay, yeah, let's. And there was a crowd around her at the time, and there she's sitting by herself, and I get it. I don't like to be bothered randomly either, but kind of went over there, and she was excited to talk to us and meet Allison. So what was your exchange with Penny like?
Well, you can tell that she really does love what she does, because she's so into. I'm watching her write too when I'm walking up, and she's moving that pen. That pen is going. She has ideas, left and right, prepping to go on stage, and she was super excited to meet me, and she's like, oh yeah, how old are you? Super excited for me, connect on LinkedIn. She wants to help me out, which is awesome,
Yeah. Her heart's in the right place. The motivations are right. she's there to not only help the industry, but help the younger folks and mentor them. So definitely want that connection. And of course, we see her again later. Didn't get an opportunity to talk to her, but I saw her face light up when she saw Allison. Like, hey, it's good to see you. And in this industry, like everywhere else, you go out and you see the same people over and over. So,
well, I thought it was just really nice. She has no idea who I am, and she's still so excited, to talk to me, which makes me feel really good,
Yeah, and it's folks like that really make a difference in life and help inspire you and stay on track, right? Because not every day is a good day. Despite what some folks say, you try, but it's just not, right?
Reality.
So you get back to the grind, which everything that's worth having takes a lot of work. So So now we're in the last day. We're at early morning, and instead of in the main kickoff speech this morning, we're out here in a podcast booth. And thanks to the folks from Wealth Management Edge and the folks that are sponsoring these sort of things to be able to sit here and do this. But today, again, we're going to be wrapping up the conference, and then we have another big social tonight. And what do you remember last year? Last year you were here as the family member, but what do you remember about the social from?
So last year we were here with my friend and her family too. So my dad was like, you know what? You got to come to this. You got to see, it's awesome. You got to see it. So we're like, you know what? Why not? Let's go. So it's me and my friend, and amazing food. That's the one thing I took about it. I was like, oh my gosh, amazing food, amazing dessert. The food's been great everywhere, at all of these. But I mean, I have high expectations for tonight just because of last year. I was so happy, Also, it's my first time, seeing, the business world. Oh, this is networking.
Yes.
But I was so excited. Food was great. The scenery was beautiful. It's right by the beach. You can see everything. It's like on a kind of a outside court.
Right. It's a setup where they probably have weddings out there. I mean,
you totally could.
That kind of setup. So, and it's so nice, and everybody works hard, and it's nice to be able to get away and enjoy something like that. And in an environment where everybody's here by choice, right? Everybody wants to just talk to people, and it kind of doesn't matter who. You learn something from everybody you talk to. So overall, such a great experience here at the conference. So Allison, I hear you talk about this hotel. So let's close with kind of talking about what. And I've heard you answer this, so I'm kind of cheating, if you will, because I've heard say this several times. But kind of tell our listeners your plan as it stands now, and it could change, right? But what are you thinking now?
Well, ever since I was young, first time I went to Vegas, I don't know what it was that snapped inside of me. I was like, I want a hotel. I don't know where the hotel aspect came from. I don't know, but I know that I wanted something to myself. I watched you grow your business from ground up, and I was like, well, I want to do that. So the hotel, I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know what it was, but when I went to Vegas, I just fell in love with these big, fancy hotels. Everything's so nice. All the rooms are nice. People are just having fun, So I've always just wanted a hotel, and when I was even in high school, I think about it all the time. I still think about it. That the finance industry is the way that I'm going to get there one day. I also wanted to be called Ankerstar, keep the name alive.
Right.
For sure. But a lot of things I do are towards my big goal of having this hotel. But that is the overall goal, always will be. I don't think it's just, I know you watched Top Gun, and that changed you. I went to Vegas, and I want a hotel, be the next Paris Hilton, I guess.
There you go. Well, if she inherited hers, you're having your own.
I'll build mine.
So,
yeah.
It'll be and like dreams, it's great to have them and then figure out a mechanism to get there. And kind of relating back to the opening speaker, Jamal Mashburn, he's like, and he grew up. We're in a different situation than he grew up in, but his ticket out of where he was through
basketball.
A sport. Yeah, so basketball, and it does help being 6'9", so I mean, okay, I'll throw that out there. But yeah, I mean, he obviously became at the elite level at such an early age to where he was able to parlay that into his real dream and he wanted to give his family a different life than he had growing up. So that was his goal, and the mechanism was basketball. So when you think of the finance industry, you know, you don't get too old in the financial industry like you kind of do in professional sports. So it really is lessons for life. But the you know, the whole point of having a plan, and then, you know what, adjust the plan if we need to. So Allison, any closing thoughts here but before we wrap up?
Love this conference, you know, second time being here. And I love this hotel too. back to the hotel thing. I
Right.
love the Diplomat. It's awesome. It's huge.
Yeah.
You know, the lobby, beautiful. You know, there's palm trees like everywhere. You know, not my kind of hotel, but I love it. You know, I'm not the biggest like, yes, like let's live on the beach. You know, I want to be in the city. You know, but I do love this hotel. I could stay here as many times as I'm welcome.
Yeah, I bet. So, all right, with that, everybody, thank you so much for listening in today. Again, keep the questions coming. We'll be back on YouTube with the video portion, probably starting Thursday. We're going to take tomorrow off to travel back home and get caught up on some things. But again, thank you so much for listening to Allison's story. Allison is on LinkedIn. Again, we're trying to build out you know, her professional network as well. So if you're listening and want to connect with her, that's where you can look her up. And with that, we will catch you guys next time. Thanks again, Allison.
You know, thank you for having me.